the Mari system before it was launched. And by the time we got back to it, it was completely different. And so then all of a sudden we were starting all over again. And instead of a training, it was sort of like a one thing at a time. We would sort of find out how things worked, or they would send out a video that said, oh, by the way, this is the new system that does this. Right. I completely forgot about that. I'm really glad that you said that, because I remember clearly we were trained on Mari before it was launched. Then suddenly they were like CalConnect, and then they're like, oh, oops, now you're going back here. You are in Mari, but Mari was a new beast when we got there. We were like, wait, what happened? Where are all the buttons?
Yeah. So they trained you on something that they changed.
Wasn't that they changed like that. But again, did they have any choice? The client is saying that doesn't work for us. The client is saying, nope, we need to track like this. And also 16 years at Kaiser, I know how Kaiser wants things documented, right? So I'm looking at the system. I feel like I know exactly how I need to put the notes in, because they're looking for very specific stuff. If a doctor is in an office and he pulls up something in Mari, I don't even know, but if he's pulling up those notes, I'm assuming that he is. If he or she is pulling up their notes, they need to be able to see a real clear picture of what happened with this case very quickly. And also Kaiser's a stickler for putting it in more than one place. And so, it came back to like, you put that information in the phone log, then you put this here, then you have to clear the phone log, then you have to, it turned into a very Kaiser kind of system.
Wow.
Yeah, which is fine,
Would you modify this training process in any way? I mean, I know you're thinking of the urgency of things at the same time, but if, aside
sure. Aside from the urgency, make sure that you know how the system works before you ask people to go in and use it. Now, I understand also that there've got to be beta testers, right? And I feel like that's basically what we were. Yes. And I will say this, the people that built Mari and who were working with us, God, I can't even remember his name now. Sheila and Hamish, I think his name is. Anyway, that whole crew, they're awesome. They were awesome. And their training skills, especially Sheila, absolutely fantastic. Patient and thorough and clear and kind. I think, was it Hamish? I can't even remember his name, but he used to be snarky on Teams, but the best way. And then they implemented a place where you could say, hey, this problem is now happening within Mari. They implemented the system where you could go in, say this issue was happening. They had a drop down menu. You could write to them, but modify. Make sure that the client is already clear and knows, and have a dedicated group of beta testers to make sure that this is what the client wants. And, so that when people onboard and train, it doesn't feel so chaotic, because it was in fact chaotic, really bananas. But again, remember, I'm learning this, and I'm also doing two other kinds of work, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So when there was any issue with Mari and you were putting it in, you said they implemented a place where you can put it into Mari. Were they responding?
Very much so. Yeah. To your ticket concerns. Sometimes you'd put a ticket in, and if it was really, that's what we called them. And if you put in a Mari ticket to say you needed help or there was a problem, it was a way to get rid of duplicate cases, right? Like you could put in a drop down, say duplicate case, go in and say, hey, these two with this case ID are duplicates, please fix. Then you'd get an email that says your ticket has been resolved. And then you could go back in and see that one of them is gone. They've been merged, and the information on the two had been merged. They must have been losing hair over there, because it was so many duplicates and so many things going in. And then there were also ways that you could say, I found this error, et cetera, when we do this. Or if you were like, best practice, this doesn't work for us, if they get enough of them. And if your problem was very specific, you'd get a Teams chat from one of them saying, hey, can I look at this with you? You open it up, you share screen, they look at your stuff. I thought that they probably worked harder. I was working my ass off, and they probably worked harder than us. It was nonstop, but I felt like that team was great.
And what was the turnaround time? Do you remember on average?
Oh God.